I want to apologize to my teammates, my club, Gemka, the fans, and the city of DCAT for my mistake that I made and the embarrassment that I brought onto them. I want to also apologize to my parents, my siblings, my Phoenix Mercury organization back at home, the amazing women of the WNBA, and my amazing spouse back at home. I never meant to hurt anybody. I never meant to put in jeopardy the Russian population. I never meant to break any laws here. I made an honest mistake, and I hope that in your ruling that it doesn't end my life here. I know everybody keeps talking about political pawn and politics, but I hope that that is far from this courtroom. I want to say again that I had no intent on breaking any Russian laws. I had no intent, I did not conspire or plan to commit this crime. This is my second home, and all I want to do is just win championships and make them proud. Thank you, Your Honor.
Спасибо, Ваша честь.
We're continuing to learn about the fallout from the 9-year sentence that has been handed down to Brittney Griner. 9 years. Now, whether she'll serve that sentence, indeed, we just do not know. There is still the ongoing conversations, which Russia has said they do not want to engage in and do not appreciate megaphone diplomacy, that it won't be helpful in the overall conversations. They hope to be more discreet as relates to any potential prisoner swaps. Dr. Rashawn Ray, a David M. Rubenstein Fellow at the Brookings Institution and an Associate Professor of Sociology at the University of Maryland, who tweets at Sociologist Ray, or go to his website at rashawnray.com, RASHAWN Ray.com, joins us today. Welcome back to the show. How are you?
Hey, Laura, I'm great as always. Thanks for having me on the show.
What is your thoughts?
Well, look, I think the first big thing is that this is obviously a political hit job by Russia. It's been that way since the beginning. Brittney Griner has played in Russia for years. We have to keep that in mind. We also have to keep in mind when she was trying to flee the country. We go back to February. We have the start of the Ukraine invasion, of the Ukrainian-Russian war. And then we also have to keep in mind, as you just noted, what she was charged with versus what she was found with. So she was charged and found guilty of drug smuggling. When we hear that in the United States, I think we hear, oh my gosh, these are big dope pushers who are pushing truckloads or plane loads or train loads of drugs into the country. What she was found with were a couple of vape cartridges, which look like just, little bitty things that could look like you're doing something with cigarettes, and hash oil. And when we think about that, that is so minor that, as you noted, in the United States, in a majority of states, that would not be under anything that would be found liable criminally. But in Russia, they're aiming to make a political point. And I think we're going to see it continued, because the big thing that I'm paying attention to is not only thinking about Brittney Griner, but also thinking about how do we think about this merchant of death, Victor Bout, and this potential exchange for 2 Americans for the Russian Victor Bout. But when we think about sports and race and gender and sexuality, they collide on Brittney Griner in a way that what we would call in sociology the intersectional framework, intersectionality. I think when people hear that, they can think about Brittney Griner. And then when we see it intersect with politics, things go awry. We know that there are many people who cross borders with what she had and even more, and it would not be criminalized in any way. But based on her fame, based on her notoriety, based on who she is, we see that fallout. The other thing that's concerning to me are people who are laughing at her sentence, who are saying this is what she deserved because she has critiqued the United States, and then here comes the United States to her aid. I'm very much of the mind of James Baldwin, who says, I love America so much that I have the ability to critique her at all cost. And I think people have to keep that in mind when we think about a Brittney Griner and some of these other concerns. So this is really one of those politically polarized issues, not just thinking about it cross comparatively with the relationship between the United States and Russia, but even within the United States and the way people are thinking about political ideology. There are roughly 60,000 people in the United States or more who are actually incarcerated for similar things that Brittney Griner did. And even though there's been bipartisan support to decriminalize certain types of low-level drug offenses, that has not stopped the fact that certain individuals are incarcerated for it. And they're more likely to be in southern states. And these states, of course, have a historical legacy when we think about the impact that it's had on the black community. And I think we have to really think about those in tandem. We can't separate them. A lot of people like to separate them. The way that I think about it, the people who are able to separate them are not impacted the same. And oftentimes their positionality gives them the ability to make these separations and not see the links over time. And so it is going to be interesting to watch how not only the United States, but also Russia plays this, but even within the United States, whether or not we're going to see even more of a shift for how we think about decriminalization. I mean, look, for example, in the state of Texas, Amon Shumpert, let's keep talking about basketball. Let's keep talking about race. Let's keep talking about these southern states. Of course, people know Amon Shumpert. He played for the New York Knicks. He played for the Cavs. He's married to Tiana Taylor, who is just an amazing actress and singer. And he was caught with some marijuana in Texas and was charged and was arrested. This was just the other day. So look, these things that people are outraged about because it's Russia, sometimes we have to look within and think, how are we throwing stones at glass houses that we actually still live in?